Breaking news, despite the Solyndra debacle, the government continues to dole out green energy money. Hi, everybody. I'm David Asman. Thank you for joining us. Now, the Solyndra deal was such a smashing success. Why bother stopping there? We got a lot more money, right? Well, today, the Energy Department awarding more than $1 billion in guaranteed loans to two more solar projects, the biggest being $737 million for the Crescent Dune Solar Energy Project in Nevada. Now imagine what $737 million could buy. We've done the homework. Here it is, a public college tuition for more than 12,000 students, or 39 brand new elementary schools, or 13 high schools. Or how about a tank of gas and a cup of coffee for every single unemployed person in America? Let's bring in Republican Congressman Phil Gingrey of Georgia, a member of the House Energy and Subcommittee investigating the Solyndra scandal. Congressman, you know, you think of what could be done with the money. You realize what has been done or wasted through Solyndra, and you wonder why we just can't stop this thing before it goes any further.
David, I commend your producers and your analysts that come up with that tank of gas and a cup of coffee for every unemployed person in the country. That is so to the point. We don't mind spending money to try to stimulate the economy and to make sure that any loan program like this Department of Energy program that, just as you said, within the last couple of days put out another $1 billion+ to stimulate this Crescent Dunes company in Nevada, conveniently where Harry Reid, the majority leader, happens to preside. But, you know, they're running, the authorization ends on Friday, so they want to get this money out the door. Right. And if it's anything like Solyndra, of course, it has not been properly vetted.
Yeah. By the way, we're going to have a representative from Tonopah, Nevada, in just a moment. It's within his area that this solar project is going to be doing. He says it's still a good use of taxpayer money, but we'll be asking him specifically coming up right after you. One of your colleagues on the committee, the Energy Committee, Congressman Cliff Stearns, says we cannot afford DOE rushing out more Solyndras in these final hours. Have you guys looked through these loans, these $1 billion that are going out, to see whether there's anything fishy?
David, I don't think we have. Now we, and I say the members of Congress, because we've been in the district this week, and I'm sure, though, our great staff, Todd Harrison and others, on the Oversight and Investigation Committee, Subcommittee of Energy and Commerce, have been doing just that. We get back to Washington early next week, we'll find out about that. But, you know, this program was created by the American Energy Act of 2005, right, specifically says that the taxpayer cannot be in a second position to anybody. And on the Solyndra deal, it wasn't just when they restructured and got more money, another $75 million committed from private investors. They even put the original $1 billion investment in a position in front of the taxpayer. So they've got some assets under the bankruptcy court, but the taxpayer will never see one dime of that.
Well, let's explore that for a second here, Congressman, because that provision was put in the 2005 energy agreement for a specific reason, because politicians know how political influence can affect spending habits in Congress. That's exactly, we've seen that happen in the TARP programs and clearly with Solyndra. Yeah. So somebody violating that provision of the 2005 Act, did somebody break the law in doing that? And if so, is somebody going to pay for that breaking of the law?
The answer to those questions are if somebody broke the law, and I think it's very possible that they did, and they absolutely should pay for it. You know, we had that email, that trail that we followed, try to follow the bouncing ball, connect the dots, and it was almost like they were saying in the Department of Energy, the chief counsel, well, it depends on what the definition of is, whether or not we can do this. And then they finally said, well, you know, if it goes under, the taxpayer is going to lose all their money, so it's worth the risk. We'll continue to put money in there, and we'll put the taxpayer in the second position, and guess what happened? So we need to put that firewall back in place, and let's say if the law were violated, then we need to prosecute to the full extent of the law.
Does that include appointing an independent prosecutor?
That's exactly what we need to do, David. That is exactly what we need to do. An independent prosecutor, absolutely.
One of the other things people are kind of curious about is the money doesn't come, even though the Department of Energy is the one that finalizes these contracts and looks at the proposals and decides whether they're good or not. It is the federal financing bank at the Treasury Department that actually cuts the check. Is there enough congressional oversight of that department? And I think they have about $61 billion in assets. That's where a lot of the checks come from to pay for all kinds of energy programs. Do you have enough congressional oversight over the FFB, the Federal Financing Bank?
I knew you were going to ask me one that I couldn't answer, David, and I'm sorry. I'll have to get back to you on that one.
You know,
it
reminds me of the Nancy Pelosi quote. That's okay. People will read the details of the law after we pass it. There's so much that goes into this $1 trillion package that we all agreed on about 3 years ago that we're just now finding out had hooks to it. And these hooks could be dragging the taxpayer down.
Well, no question. And you notice the figures that came out today in regard to the Obamacare. It's going to lower the cost of health insurance for every family by $1,200 a year. And indeed, it went in the opposite direction, right, and has raised the cost about $2,500 a year. And more employers are, if you know, this old business of if you like what you have in the way of health care, you can keep it. Nothing could be further from the truth.
Yeah. Phil Gingrey from Georgia. Thank you very much, sir. Good to see you again. Appreciate you being here.
Good. David, thank you. Good to be with you.
Well, you won't hear James Eason complaining about government support of solar energy.